Sam Levitt here of the Padres Radio Network in 97.3 The Fan in Peoria, Arizona at Padres Spring Training. And right now I'm joined by Padres infielder Jake Cronenworth. It's become maybe a little bit of an annual tradition to stand out here and do a little one-on-one. First, how was your off-season? Big off-season for you. You got married. How was all that?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. New chapter in life, and no, it's been outstanding so far.
Last year we talked about your off-season priorities, what you were working on heading into this past winter. What were some of those priorities as you got ready for this year?
Yeah, I mean, same stuff as always, man. You know, it's always trying to find a way to get better at the plate. You know, trying to find a way to get better on defense and base running and get faster and stronger, and really anything I can do to help the team win.
One of the cool things walking into the clubhouse this spring training is you look around and there are some faces that are missing from a 93-win team last year, but it's really the same group, and the core is really the same. When you think back to last regular season, it was such a tight-knit group, and it showed in the way you played. What do you hope that you guys took away as a group from what you did during the regular season last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a team that has a lot of guys that, like you said, were there last year, and most of us went through kind of that little lull at the beginning of the season where we were kind of playing 500 baseball, and as the season progressed, we found a way to get better and got to know each other really as a group more and more as the season went on, and I think it showed on the field.
You talked about the lull at the beginning of the season. That was something that we saw a little bit in 23, saw it a little bit in 24, sitting around 500 at the All-Star break. How do you think you guys get off to maybe a little bit of a quicker start this year?
Yeah, I think it's just back to kind of what the familiarity with the group we have now. We know who we are as a team. We know what we do as an offense. Same thing on the pitching and defense side.
Yeah.
Some guys have moved around in new positions, but no, I mean, that I think alone is going to help us, get out of the gates maybe a little faster.
From a position standpoint, I feel like we have this conversation every year around this time about where you might play. You've spent most of spring training, it looks like, working out at second base, playing second base. Jose Iglesias is now in camp. What is your expectation about where you may play on what given day during the year, or at least to start the year?
Yeah, the plan is to be at second base and kind of back to where I was those first 2 years, so or first 3 years. But yeah, been working there, got note of it in the off season and could kind of cater towards what I wanted to do, and from a workout standpoint and a defensive work standpoint to be ready for spring.
Do you enjoy playing second base the most? I mean, you always say the right things about where you play, but do you enjoy it more than?
I mean, I enjoy it a lot. I feel like being in the middle of the infield and being able to communicate with all the guys and play an impactful role on the defensive side of the ball, which I love, is huge.
Finally, just want to ask you about a couple of your teammates. The guy to your left when he's playing first base, that's Luis Ariz, who goes through last season, has the torn ligament in his thumb, still wins a third consecutive batting title. What's it been like for you watching him hit and learning from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think since we've got him and I have built a great relationship. Just more so talking in the game and talking about the guy we're facing and how to attack him. We don't have too many lefties in our lineup, and I think him and I have leaned on each other a lot in terms of what we see and what we value that day and what we can do.
Jackson Merrill, another lefty in the lineup. What was it like for you watching what he did last year?
Yeah, it was awesome. I don't know what it's like to be 20 years old in the big leagues. I think I was in college still, but no, I mean, it's incredible. He's super mature, but the guy busts his butt and wants to win, which is the biggest piece.
You mentioned, or you alluded to kind of your journey to this point. Obviously, it's a little bit different than a guy like Jackson's, and there have been, as a team, ups and downs throughout the last couple of years. Whether it was a great regular season, the disappointing way the postseason ended last year. How do you feel like maybe your journey as a player coming up influences maybe the way you can see those ups and downs?
Yeah, I think compared to a lot of the guys on the team, most of those guys were called up at a super young age and have been in the big leagues for a long time, whereas, I played 5.5 years in the minors and, I didn't get called up until I was 26, and now I'm 31. Right. So, no, I've seen a lot, and I think, I don't want to say old age and my wisdom, but no, I think I see the game in a very unique way, and I just try to spread that knowledge and teach guys and learn from guys.
Yeah.
And, have that.
Jake, appreciate the time as always.
Absolutely.
Look forward to catching up during the course of the season. Best of luck with everything in 2025, and enjoy the rest of spring training as we inch our way
I
towards
know.
opening
Yep,
day.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sam.